Hello. Hello, this is the My Artifact episode number 4020. Today's date is April 24, 2026. It's been almost like a night at 10:25 p.m. Okay, so basically today is a kind of like a little bit special thing happened. Okay, so basically this thing that today I have to be export my artifact. Okay, like what is exactly artifact? Like a stuff that I'm kind of like a recording this kind of like artifact. I have to be upload those artifact on YouTube platform. And basically I almost record almost like a month of recording artifact, almost like 60 files. Approximate size would be almost like a 132 GB, 60 files. Okay, yeah. So I have to be convert that into the like I have to put the into Premiere Pro, kind of like a somebody make sure audio should supposed to be hearing properly, enhance the audio. Okay, yeah, just tiny changes and export that file. So I thought that this is kind of like a very big task and I have to be do it till the end of this day. So that means tonight, means after this artifact I will put this all these exported artifact into the encoding. So after it encode, it reduce the size, and after it reduce the size, tomorrow I will kind of like upload those artifact on YouTube platform. So this is a kind of like a plan. Okay, yeah. Now if I'm doing this thing, there is a couple of things that I cannot able to be do. What is that? Couple of things. First of all is that key content creation. Obviously if I'm kind of like exporting artifact, I can't do content creation. Okay, yeah, but I can kind of like a debug my app. Right now I'm building my artifact app, so there is a lot of debugs, so I can debug my application. Okay, yeah, there is a kind of like a little bit of bugs. Okay, yeah, so I'm using kind of like a Gemini agent, so for debugging. So I can do this thing, it's not like that kind of like a difficult. Okay, yeah, so this was my plan. Okay, yeah. So I record artifact and I decided that let's read my book, and then after that I just do my work and directly jump into the exporting. But then after that the thing actually happened. What thing? My mother is kind of like a somebody angry towards me. Okay, yeah, that you are 32, you are pathetic things, that and that and that and that. Right now I'm really used to with this stuff. Okay, yeah, it's not really bother me that much. Okay, yeah, but it does feel little bit of sad because of that key, because of me my mother is actually crying, is because of me. I does feel very sad, but I don't let my emotion spread out. Like I don't know how to supposed to explain this thing. It's just like that na, I do respect my parents. I do respect my mother, father. Like whatever the life that I have, and is because of them. Okay, yeah. And I wanted to say thank you for so many reasons, but instead of that, I'm hurting them in so many ways because of the my ambition and goal and things and that and that. I made a lot of mistake. I truly accept this thing. I'm facing that consequences right now. But it's just like that na ki, like basically is this thing I think that na ki my parents also should supposed to be kind of like a, like I don't know, yeah, like a this kind of like a thing na ki, like a basically is this thing na ki what is exactly the solution for it. The only solution I have is that ki if I have to be hurt them, or I have to be hurt more them. I have to be hurt them more. I choose I have to be hurt them less. Okay, yeah. Like basically it's this thing na ki, okay, let me tell you one thing. Okay, my parents are not just my parents, but let me tell you from my surrounding. Okay, I'm from India, specifically from Wardha, Maharashtra. Wardha, Maharashtra is my hometown. Wardha is my hometown. Maharashtra is a state. India is a country. Okay, yeah. And in here, usually, mostly parents, like from today's point of perspective, today's means 2026 point of perspective. Okay, yeah. Most of my parents are like not most of, like I have only one parents. Okay, yeah. But it's just like that now. My parents thinks that their wealth is not money, their wealth is their kids. Okay, yeah. Like basically is this thing, what exactly is this thing? What exactly, okay, let me kind of like understanding the kind of like wealth means what. Okay, yeah. So I am belong to the kind of like a somewhat something lower middle class family. Okay, yeah. And basically is this thing, my father, my parents kind of like a, they came from villages. Okay, yeah. And they seen very harsh condition of the life. My father haven't really get food twice in a days. My mother is also kind of like a, did lot of struggle to kind of like a food and things and that. Okay, yeah. Their life is kind of like a very terrible. Okay, yeah. But they put lot of effort. My father put lot of effort and things and that, and they got a job and they became kind of like a somewhat something successful. Okay, yeah. And basically is this thing, they realize one thing, that ki basically is this thing, their wealth is not kind of like just a money, their wealth is their kids. Okay, yeah. Because my parents thinks that na ki, if their kids means me, my sister, are kind of like a grow in their life, they achieve everything in their life. So that's why they sacrifice so many stuff. Okay, yeah. My parents didn't really go anywhere for the vacation, nothing really at all. I do remember that my mother is like uh, like my mother, my parents actually put me into the tuition classes when I was in fifth standard. Okay, yeah. Fifth standard means I'm talking about in 2006, no, 2005, 2005. Okay, yeah. So I was in the tuition in 2005. Okay, yeah. Basically at that time tuition was not even exist, but still my parents put me into the tuition classes because of that ki they think that ki like their kid should supposed to be get succeeded and things and that. So they are kind of like assembly, like basically this is now what is exactly, the humans are kind of like a very like a act according differently with their children. Okay, yeah. Like basically my parents think that na ki whatever they face in their childhood, they don't let their children should supposed to face that they face in their childhood. Like my parents didn't really get food twice in a day and things and that my, so my parents kind of like decided that ki like my upbringing should supposed to be as good as possible. They kind of like get me food better as possible twice in a day. Same goes with my mother. Mother is also, my mother family is also really not that good, but still my mother kind of like simply sacrifice so much. Okay, and not only my mother but as well as my father too. They don't really go any kind of like a vacation, nothing really at all. They just kind of like do their work and kind of like a believe that their kids should supposed to be kind of like a simply be successful and things and that. Okay, yeah. Now what exactly happened that ki, after all those effort, I'm 32, I am living with my parents, I'm not really earning any money. Obviously this age 32, my parents, like it's kind of like a thing that na ki whatever they sacrifice for everything in their life, it just meant nothing, because I consider like from them point of perspective I am unsuccessful. because I'm 32, I'm living with my parents and I'm not really earning any money. So my father point of perspective, my parents point of perspective, I am unsuccessful. So whatever they put effort when I was in childhood, it's just worthless. Okay, yeah. So my parents are actually crying. They are kind of like saying that ki I did so much for you and things and that, and you became this and that. And basically is this thing na ki sometimes na, like I don't know. Okay, I kind of like simply I read a book, Atomic Habit by uh, Atomic Habit by James Clear. Okay, so in that book there is a kind of like a mention. Okay, I'm not really sure that Atomic Habit or kind of like a something, but I think that Atomic Habit, yeah. In that book, that James Clear is actually mentioned that ki the whatever the like whatever your life you are, how good is your life or how pathetic your life, you and only you are the responsible for your life right now. And that is somewhat something I accept this terminology, because I think that na ki whatever we are, somewhat something right condition, wrong condition, I think that responsible for me. Like basically, if I'm say that thing, I'm 32, I'm living with my parents and things and that sound very pathetic, is because of that ki I make a lot of fuck up mistake in my life. Okay, yeah, and I am facing those consequences. So I took the responsibility of my mistake. I took the kind of like I kind of like accept this thing that ki whatever the kind of like a consequences that you are facing, right and wrong consequences, it is all and all actually happened because of you. Okay, yeah, because of myself. Okay, yeah. So basically, is this thing that ki then I ask this question to myself that ki I'm 32, I am still living with my parents, I'm not really earning any money. From my parents' point of perspective, I am kind of like a bit really unsuccessful. So that's why they feel worthless. So they are feeling worthless is because of me or is because of them? Because like basically they think that ki they lost, but I don't really understand na. Like sometimes na it just kind of like a sometimes the things are very unclear. Okay, let me tell you another thing. Okay, throughout my recording artifact I realized couple of things. Okay, I cannot control other person. I can guide them, I can influence other people, but I can't control. Okay, like basically is this thing na ki my parents like my parents are kind of like simply always hope from myself that ki I could do something much more better. I could do something much more better. And if I'm not did that much better, they kind of like a feel like failure. I don't know that. I don't know kind of like a thing is that na ki is it like a my fault? Like basically is this thing na ki sometimes na I just don't know what exactly is this thing, because if I kind of like simply decided that ki I shouldn't supposed to be hurt my parents. So what does my parents wants? My parents wants to kind of like do a job and things and that get married and things and that. Then dude, if I kind of like did that thing na, then my ambition, my goal, the whatever I wanted to do, I cannot able to do that thing. So then I realized that na ki it's just like that na ki I don't know. I just like basically is this thing na I don't want to hurt my parents, but I don't really have any choice. They have to be hurt. Is because of my choices or because of they are hoping for me to kind of like become better and things and that. And by the way, let me tell you one thing now. Okay, it's like basically is this thing, if you are from US and Europe, you might not understand this concept. Why? Because of that ki like basically like every kind of like assembly territory, every kind of like assembly, the upbringing and surrounding situation are kind of like a bit more different than like a demographic point of perspective. In India specifically, like specifically in my society, I'm not really sure about the your country and whoever you are and where you are from, but in my country at this point, okay, means at 2026 or maybe things like that before, is like that na ki usually parents thinks that ki their wealth is their kids, and that's why most of the Indian parents are kind of like a decided that ki mera beta, like my son will become engineer, my son will become, my daughter will become doctor and things and that they put the hopes before they, and they don't even ask that ki what is actually their kids choice and things and that. And sometimes na, like if kids are try to fulfill their hopes, then those people will gonna die because they are kind of like a living someone else's life. Okay, yeah. And those are so many examples are actually here in India, so many examples. Okay, and some people are kind of like somebody decided to kind of like somebody do the decision according to the my life and things and that, then they are hurting their parents. Like right now me, I decided that I should supposed to be control my life and things and that, and in return I'm hurting my parents. Yeah, these are kind of like exist. And like I don't know, yaar. It's just like that. Now this lecture is kind of like continue. My mother is actually crying. My father is kind of like somebody saying something. I feel like really sad. Like, but I don't know what do I supposed to do. I wanted to, but I can't say anything. I just didn't said anything at all. I just stay there. I just listen, and I just, yeah. Like sometimes na, even if I try to tell them, they don't really understand. Let me tell you one thing regarding about like basically you might thinking that kid, dude, you could supposed to be convince your parents na, like regarding about your goals and things. Your parents might gonna convince, right? Well, let me tell you something. Okay, I'm kind of like let me give you a kind of like some example. Okay, so let's just say is this thing that key you have to go from one place to another place. Okay, and you are traveling by bus. Let's just say you are traveling by bus. Okay, so you will gonna know that you will gonna arrive at B place. Okay, why? Because the bus is actually running. But what if that bus is stopped or broken or something happened? Then in that condition, would you believe that you will kind of like arrive at B location? No, you are kind of like somebody asking question for that belief, because like basically is this thing, our belief is actually depend on evidence, how much evidence that we have, and in returns we believe in that. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is this thing, that even if I try to convince my parents, my parent does not convince. Why is that? Because the goal that I wanted to achieve, it's completely like out of their thought process. Okay, let me tell you one thing. I will gonna tell that thing, father, I wanted to become a kind of like something. I wanted to build an app that could kind of like transform the entire thought process of entire people world and things and that. This app will kind of like change the people thought process and things and that. If I could able to be said this thing, do you really think that my father will gonna accept this thing? Right now you are kind of like accepting this thing at the moment because you already knew, I already established. Okay, only and only that's why you are kind of like listening this artifact, na? Okay, but you will not understanding from today's point of perspective. Today's date is a 24 April 2026. Okay, in today's point of perspective, I haven't really achieved my goals and things and that. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is this thing, na, ki you are kind of like a believe in something which is growing, or which is kind of like a like a something that ki basically is this thing that ki do you believe that ki Elon Musk became trillionaire, a first human who became trillionaire? I think I believe that. Why? Because his wealth is almost like a $800 billion, and he might become the first human to become first trillionaire. Now, how do I believe that thing? Is because of that he is growing. Like basically, is this thing we believe in things which is actually on running. We do not believe things when it stop. Okay, yeah. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, yeah, you believe that ki you will kind of like arrive at location B when the bus is kind of like a running, but when the bus is stop, you cannot believe that you will gonna arrive at B location. This is what I'm trying to tell you. So let me tell you something from my parents' point of perspective. Is that ki if I tell them that ki I wanted to make this app that could change the people thought process and things and that, they will not gonna believe me, because from them point of perspective, I am not growing. I'm just kind of like a stupid who kind of like sit in front of the computer day and night and kind of like doing something stupid shit. Okay, so this is my parents' belief. So that's what I'm trying to tell you is this thing, na. It's just like that, na. Our belief is kind of like the only way that you could convince people is the kind of like assembly you are kind of like a going. Like basically is this thing, not ki Elon Musk is kind of like a convince other people that he would become a kind of like a first human to become a trillionaire. Trillionaire. Why? Because he can able to be achieve that target. That's what I'm trying to tell you is this thing. Okay, yeah. But if I kind of like said this thing, my father, that I wanted to become a trillionaire. Like basically is this thing that not my parents, not even not like everyone kind of like telling me you are so stupid and things and that and that. And that is what I'm trying to tell you. So instead of kind of like a convincing people, I should supposed to be stay silent, because sometimes na it's a kind of like a thing that ki you can't convince people sometimes. Okay, yeah. And in that particular situation, I just kind of like a be silence. Just like let the action speak for myself. Like like whatever the action that I will gonna do, it will kind of like a speak for myself. So yeah, whatever. So this kind of like a stuff happened, and I am kind of like a really heartbroken and things and that. I don't know what do I supposed to say. Okay, I haven't really read it after the book, nothing really at all. I just kind of like sit in front of my computer and started exporting my artifact. Haven't really read a book, haven't really kind of like a play my brain games application like a Duolingo, Lumosity, Elevate. Haven't really done that. By the way, at the evening I feel little bit of good, so I went to work out. I did run, I play badminton, I came home. I speak with my parents. It's not really that I don't really speak, but like I do know that it's like that na ki sometimes na I do love my parents, dude. Like, and I don't want to hurt them. Like, basically, is this thing na ki the one thought that kind of like a stuck inside of my head is that ki my mother is actually crying because of me. Like, literally, is this thing na ki this kind of like a statement, this thing is so painful that I cannot like I cannot accept this thing. Like basically is this thing na, I always thought that ki like whatever the dreams I have, whatever the goals that I have, entire pain I should supposed to be handled by myself. Like basically is this thing, I always thought that ki because of my goals and things and that, my parents shouldn't supposed to be kind of like a feel hurtful from my goal. Okay, yeah. So but I think that na ki I don't know, it just happened. And there is no solution for that. Just wait. I just only one thing that I could do, just be consistent doing my work, and I believe in myself that I will definitely gonna achieve my goals and things and that. But when stuff happened, whatever, I have to be asked question, but right now just end it. All right, so this is it. This is it, and thank you.